Good morning, and thank you for coming to this session so early in the morning. Mornings in Sheffield are always quite tough, the morning after the night before. Welcome to the session of Why You Should Work for Channel 5. And we have a brilliant panel here today. We have Ben Frow, the Director of Programmes for Channel 5. I think it's the first time you're in Sheffield?
First time in Sheffield. Looks like a nice city.
Nice. And we have Paul Stead, who's from Daisybeck Productions.
Hello.
We have Kat Lewis from 9 Lives Media, and we have Jonathan Stadlen from Knickerbockerglory TV, and we also have Paul Blake from Maroon Productions. So how I want to start the session is we want to show a clip reel for Channel 5. So can we run the clip reel, please?
Now, we do some fun stuff as well, but as this is a documentary festival, we thought we'd show you all our more intelligent programs.
I mean, what do you think when you see that reel? What does that say?
I think we're amazing.
What does that say about Channel 5
It
now?
says we're fantastic. It says, we can make programs that are as good, if not better, than all the other broadcasters. It shows that we have a range of programs that is as good as any other broadcaster. It shows that, given we have 6 commissioners and only 200 million to spend, we're playing with the big boys out there.
Hang on, 6 commissioners, that's all you've got?
Yeah.
I mean, that's less than like a commissioning department at another...
I think Channel 4 have 56.
Wow.
Something like that, yeah.
I mean, I'll be honest, I'm an independent producer, and I've never made anything for Channel 5, so partly in this session as well, I'm asking on your behalf as well. And the form of the session is, I'll talk to Ben for about 15 minutes, and then we'll go through individual cases of very different producers who work for Channel 5 and look at how that happens, and then we'll have a bit more of a discussion. There'll be time for questions, so please think of some questions, and at the end...
Please use this session to find out about Channel 5 and how you can work with Channel 5. I mean, the only reason we're doing this is so that people like yourselves can come up with the right ideas, can bring us the right projects, can build a relationship with Channel 5, understand how we work, what we like, what works for us, where we're going, so that we can all work together, as we've done very successfully with the people on the panel here. Some of whom I don't really know that well because I'm not very hands-on, but it's really important that you hear from them the pros and the cons. I'm a very honest person. You can say what's good and what's less good about working with Channel 5. If I don't hear the negative things, I can't improve on them. But it's very important that you get from this session what you need in order to be able to work with us going forward. And I'm keeping my phone here, just excuse me, it's overnight time, and you know how obsessed I am by the ratings. Oh, they haven't come through yet. Oh, hang on a minute, yes, they have come through. No, they haven't come through. So I'll be slightly distracted until the ratings come through, so you keep talking, and then I'll get the ratings in about 1 minute, hopefully.
So, I mean, one of the reasons I think why Channel 5 are doing this session is, in the past, there's been a certain perception about what Channel 5 is. What do you think that perception was, and what do you think your channel is now?
I think there's, if I'm really honest, and I really hate to remind people, I think there was a perception that Channel 5 was a bit shit. I think there was a perception of that. I think there are a lot of very snobby people out there who look down their noses at Channel 5, who think that we're not very good, we're not very intelligent, we're derivative, we're copycat. And as I said at Edinburgh last year, and as I will keep saying, I'm very happy for people to have their opinion, but please look at what we do. Look at our schedule, look at the range of programs we make and the quality of programs we make, and then say what we really are, which is a very clever, smart, spirited, emotional, populist, well-made channel. We understand our viewer very well. We love our viewers, all viewers. Upmarket viewers, downmarket viewers, young viewers, old viewers, fat viewers, thin viewers. It doesn't matter who the viewers are. We love our viewers. We will never look down our nose at our viewers. Viewers are very important in this day and age, and I think we are really good at understanding what our viewers like, how they like their programs positioned, because there are a lot of programs out there on a number of channels that are similar. We've just finished a series on Henry VIII and his 6 wives. I understand the BBC are still to make a series on Henry VIII and his 6 wives, and it's a subject that's been done a lot of times before. It happens to be a personal passion of mine, The 6 Lives of Henry VIII, and I was very keen to do it. But I also understood it's a subject that's worked on other channels. We know that it has a resonance with viewers. But at the same time, how can we position it in a way for the Channel 5 viewer to enjoy it and understand it and come to the channel and make a program that actually sets us apart from all the other versions of Henry VIII and his 6 wives? And I think we did find a unique way of doing it. So all I say to people who have a misperceived impression of Channel 5 is look at what we do. And all I ask for is the recognition for the good stuff that we do. Of course there's stuff on the channel that may not be brilliant. Of course there's stuff on the channel that doesn't necessarily work as well as we thought it did. Of course there are programs on the channel that haven't delivered on the promise, but things go wrong, access falls down. There's always going to be stuff on the channel that is not quite what you hoped it to be. But the majority of stuff is really good.
And who's your audience? You talk about
Our audience is anybody and everybody. You know, I've never commissioned a program for an audience. I think if you decide, I'm going to commission a program for young men, why would I say goodbye to all those other viewers? Why would I just want a fraction of the available audience out there? I go for ideas that are broad, populist, mainstream, that can bring me the biggest audience possible. When I was at Channel 4, you know, working in the features department there, I never thought about a demographic. It never even occurred to me who's watching Property Ladder, who's watching Location, who's watching Nigella. I just thought, this is a good idea. This is good talent. This is a subject matter that people will enjoy. This has got a good beginning, a good middle, and a good end. I think I want to watch more next week. And I think if you target a certain demographic, or if you start to homogenize a great idea, going, it's a little bit too populist. I think we should make it a bit more female. I think we should make it a bit more young female. Well, it's not a great idea anymore. It becomes a devalued idea. So I just want great ideas for anybody and everybody. And I hope, and I think we're seeing the results actually, that within that big audience, you've got some nice 1634s who are very valuable to us commercially. We have some nice ABC 1s who are very valuable to us commercially. And we have some nice Joe Blows like, you know, the average person, who may not be as valuable to the advertisers, but are really valuable to us in terms of our reputation, in terms of our audience share, and in terms of how we compete with the other broadcasters.
And how does it work at Channel 5? You said there's only 6 commissioners. Are there deputy commissioners under them?
No, there's 6 commissioners.
What, that's it?
Yeah, they're all up there. There's like a row of them. That's it. That's the commissioning department. We're missing one.
So how does it work for producers in terms of from getting in touch with Channel 5 and actually getting a commission? And all producers want, and as a producer myself, it's just we want clarity and we want like a speed of decision. And how does that work at Channel 5?
Well, I think we have a lot of disadvantages at Channel 5. We are very small. We obviously have less money than, Channel 4 or BBC or ITV, significantly less. But we are quick, and we are... I really hate wasting people's time. The best way to work is you can either email me directly, and I will email straight back. You can email ideas, and I will email straight back. Really, the best way to do it is not through me, but is to build up a relationship with a commissioner. Find a commissioner that you like, who gets you, who wants to support you, who wants to champion you, who believes in you, who enjoys your company, who believes that you understand what we're looking for. And, we're all very competitive people, we're all very smart people, and we're very ambitious. So you pick a commissioner who is going to make, who you are going to make look great. You have meetings, you talk about ideas, you build them up, and then every quarter we have a budget round. We call it budget round. I keep it quite formal, where the commissioners will come in and present all their ideas to myself and the scheduling team. It's really a way of seeing what's out there and being able to compare and contrast everything that comes in. So there might be 250 ideas that we've shortlisted, and then picking the ones that can work best together. I might like an idea or not like an idea. So there might be an idea I don't like, but somebody else might say, yeah, but that could be very useful on a Friday at 8, and you've got good thinking, actually, and maybe we could pair it with that, and oh, yeah, they go very nicely together, don't you? So I like to involve other people in the final decision-making process because I can't have all eyes for everybody. The commissioners know what I like. I'm very clear about the tone I would like on an idea. One of the commissioners might come in and pitch an idea, and I go, I like that, but I don't like the way you're selling it, and I don't like the way it's written, and I don't like, that's not right, but if we turn it around like this, and you make it a bit more like that, and we put that person on it, okay, now I get it. Great, go and make it. So we have this commissioning process. I think it works quite well, but at the same time, we will always do rolling commissioning. If a great idea comes in, and it's time sensitive, we will always try and find a way to do it. The reason that the commissioning process works is that it gives us a formal way of communicating with the independents. One of my biggest passions is that independents are not left hanging in uncertainty as to, are we making the program, are we not making the program? Do they like it, do they not like it? I'm fully aware that it's incredibly tough out there. You need quick decisions. If we don't want it, you need to be able to take it somewhere else. If we do want it, then we need to express that we're very interested in it fairly quickly. And within 3 months, if you haven't got a, we're doing this project, you can assume it's dead. I work very quickly. I'm incredibly instinctive. I mean, I'll commission programs on their title, as people around this table know. I don't need to read a big treatment. I just need to hear it and go, I like it, I don't like it, it will work, it won't work. If after 3 months you've not heard, it's a definite yes, you can assume it's dead. But I do think that communication is very important. We have to have a good relationship with you. You are our lifeblood. We come up with ideas ourselves, of course, but without people like yourselves bringing us the new thoughts, the new direction, understanding what's coming down the track in 9 months' time, understanding viewers, understanding the mood of the nation, we die, we wither and die. So it's very important that we make it as simple, easy, and quick as possible for people like yourselves.
And can you talk about titles?
Yes, but I have to look at the overnights first.
Okay.
Yes, titles.
Yeah, I mean, are ratings, you're looking at them now, are they the be-all and end-all?
We were down last night, so that's not a good night.
Okay. Great. Great
but
this session.
Secret Life of Kittens did 1 million, and Big Brother did 1 million, so that's good.
In terms of at 8 o'clock and at 9 o'clock, what kind of ratings are you looking for?
1 million.
For 8, and then...
Well, if I can get 1 million at 8, like Yorkshire Vet does 1 million at 8, and GPs Behind Closed Doors does 1 million at 8, if you get Kittens did 1 million at 8, if you can get a show that does 1 million at 8, used to be 2.5 million, but I've lowered my bar somewhat, that gives an inheritance to 9. And if I can get 1 million at 9, up against all that sort of juggernaut competition on the other channels, that helps 10. I mean, it's a numbers game at the end of the day. It really is. We are measured on the, we are deemed by Viacom, who own us now, a success on our impact, which is how many people watch the adverts. Now, I'm nothing to do with the adverts, but I provide the programming around the adverts, and we need numbers for Viacom, and then for us, we need numbers and we need returning shows that can deliver week in and week out, because that gives us the flexibility to be able to try new things. That gives us the flexibility to be able to experiment. That gives us the ability to be able to commission programs like The Body Donors, or like Gift of Life, or like My Name Is and I'm an Alcoholic, that are not ratings winners. They're never going to be slam dunks for us.
So why do you do them?
Because I think our reputation is very important to us. Right. And when I came to Channel 5 3 years ago, I think it's about ratings, it's all about numbers, it's about revenue, because we're a commercial channel, but it's also about reputation. Right. And I really determined that we would change people's perception of Channel 5, that we would make programs that were up there with the very best of them. And I think it's important that as part of our schedule, as the part of our commissioning process, we always include programs that are challenging, programs that are really different, programs that are not necessarily about ratings and revenue, but they are about people going, wow, Channel 5 have done a program called The Body Donors. It took 2 years to make. It's never been done before on television. Did we get the recognition for it? No, of course we didn't. But we were first, and we were original, and it was an incredible program, an incredible piece of television. That, if any other broadcaster had done it, would have won awards hands down. I go back to a little bit of snobbery about Channel 5. But we're getting there. It's about, sometimes I feel like Hillary Clinton. 8 years ago, she got a crack in the glass ceiling. And we keep getting these little cracks, and one day that ceiling will break, and people will go, you know what? Channel 5 are it. Channel 5 really are a great channel.
And, what would you say, how many programs do you think are still there from when you took over? Have you
well, I think it's 6 or 8.
What's in the
Neighbours, Home and Away, The News, Matthew Wright, The Gadget Show, Police Interceptors.
And that's it?
And The Hotel Inspector, 7.
You can't really count The News, that's always going to be there.
6. So everything else is brand new programming.
So you've changed everything?
Yeah. I didn't go in there and say, I'm going to get rid of everything. I'm not a schmuck. Police Interceptors, which is looked after by Sean. It's a very well-established show for us. It's a very successful show for us. Why would I get rid of a show that works? You know, you use Police Interceptors at 8 o'clock to launch your 9 o'clock. Hotel Inspector, which has just launched on its 12th series, and which I commissioned when I was last at Channel 5 back in 2003, 2004, has just come back stronger than in the last 3 years. We took out all the format. We decided that Alex should voice it. We made it much more documentary style. And it's come back all guns blazing, which shows you've got to keep rewarding the viewer. You know, you cannot expect to just keep commissioning the same show and leave it sitting there. You know, Paul, who looks after the Yorkshire Vet, great, we've had 2 incredibly successful series. There will be a conversation which is, how do we evolve it? We can't just keep doing the same thing. Do we broaden it? Do we narrow it? Do we change direction slightly? Do we add some people in? Jonathan, who does GPs Behind Closed Doors, which is, again, one of the shows I'm most proud of on the channel. It does really well for us, week in, week out. It's the biggest commission ever, 50 episodes a year. But we've got to keep our eye on the ball. You've got to keep thinking, how can we change it? How can we keep rewarding the viewer? Because if we're complacent, the viewer will find something else to watch. So the commissioners work very hard, and I push them quite hard to go, you know, are we missing a trick? Do we need to change it? Has it come to the end of its life? Should we rest it for a bit? Should we move it in its time slot? Should we do some specials off the back of it? How can we keep the viewer engaged and keep them excited about these programs?
I think that's a good point. I think we'll open it up to some of the producers on the channel. Let's start with Jonathan. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your company, and then we'll show the reel after that? So you run Knickerbockerglory. How long have you been running it?
We've been going 5 years. It's interesting that we're making programs now for the Hillary Clinton of television. It makes you think who Donald Trump might be. We do 2 things. One is we do this more sort of, I would say, serious sort of documentary, for want of a better word. And on the other side, we do sort of mixed genre things like lookalikes, or we did Pineapple Dance. Well, I made Pineapple Dance years before I started at Knickerbockerglory. So we're doing 2 separate things. But what's been really great is to have an idea that we really love and be able to go to someone who makes a very, very quick and instinctive decision, and we got that at Channel 5 with GPs.
Should we show the reel, please, and then we'll have a chat after that? So can you tell us about how GPs came about? Because you were known for things like Pineapple Dance Studios and quite genre-bending work.
So GPs, a lot of my family were GPs, so they came back and told me how difficult it was to have a session where 18 people come into the room and they say, I've got an ingrown toenail, or I want to commit suicide, or this baby isn't mine, or whatever it is. And doctors have to deal with that in 10-minute slots, 18 people in a session. And then I read the Daily Mail, and it's like doctors are overpaid and they take too many holidays, and I thought there was a discrepancy there. So I went and talked to 452 different GP surgeries, and we shortlisted it to like 15.
Is this before you talked to any broadcasters?
Yeah. And we then went and shot a tape before we talked to anyone where we...
You funded it yourself?
Yeah.
Okay.
Where we shot we showed that we had access to the surgery. It wasn't very expensive to do that.
Right.
Because we just went with a 5D and filmed some doctors saying, yes, this is why our job is interesting. And lots of people, I think, didn't believe that we would have access to the patients. And when I sat in the waiting room, interestingly, and said to people, can I film your consultations, they said no, because they thought I was some sort of sex pest. And then when we put GoPros into the waiting rooms and we filmed the patient and doctor interactions. Anyway, I took that to Ben, and then Emma was attached to it. And when I came back with they asked me to film the doctor-patient interaction. When I came back with that, they said, they said in the room, I really love this. We want to do it. You'll have a contract tomorrow. And actually, that was the case. And we had taken it to other people as well. And the other people, one channel offered us development and said we needed to change the surgery. And one channel said, we really like it. We'll give you a meeting in 3 months' time. And by that time, we were already delivering our first episode. And I think that is a really good example of how it is working with Channel 5. Because I think as a producer, you want 2 things. You want a quick decision, a yes or a no, which we definitely got. And I think, although it's shit scary when I first pitch to Ben. I mean, he can be quite a sort of like definitive sort of person.
Well, what's it like pitching to him?
Well, the first time I went in, Ben didn't look at me, and he was sort of shuffling his papers. He said, "What are you doing here?" And I said, "Well, we'd organised this meeting, Ben." And I said, "Can I show you this tape?" And it was about strippers. And he said, "No, I don't want to see it." So I'd left. And
is this true?
I don't remember. I've got a terrible memory. I really have terrible memory. It probably is true.
The next time I came in, he had this big bunch of flowers in front of him, and I was like, "What are you doing here?" And I said, "Well, you asked me in this time." And he said, "Do I? And I moved the flowers out of the way, and I said, "I've got this idea for you," and it was doctors, and he really liked it. But I think, actually, at his heart, he's much softer than his...
Well, look, I mean, it's a very tough business out there. You know, there's no point in me, you know, I can't be all namby-pamby. I've got... You know, it's a high-pressure job. You've got a lot of responsibility. I like people who are confident. I like people who are smart. I like people who have done their preparation. I like people who understand Channel 5. No point in bringing me stuff that is never going to work on Channel 5 because you've never watched it or you don't bother looking at, you know, what kind of shows we have. I like people who have done a little bit of research, maybe through a commissioner about, you know, what mood are you in at the moment, what sort of things are working, what's not working. You know, I'm very happy to have a dialogue, but I also won't waste people's time. You know, Jonathan brought that in. I loved the fact he had gone out and made a tape off his own bat. That showed initiative, it showed ambition, it showed passion to me. So I thought, well, he's putting his money where his mouth is. He didn't come in and say, we could do something in a GP surgery. Yeah, we could. What is it? I don't know. Shall I go away and think about it? Well, yeah, you could. It's no good to me. He came in and said, I've shot this. What do you? And I go, I like it. And I went out to him and I said, I like this. I like him. Drill down on this. Check out he's all right and he's not some sort of fly-by-night, you know, no mark. So, you know, so Emma did the sort of drilling down, checked his credentials, met him for a cup of coffee, looked him in the eyes and goes, you know, can we trust you? And then we just do the show. But
I think you do have to be prepared, just how you just expressed that, you have to be prepared for that. Because I think if you come in with a sort of slightly wishy-washy shit idea, it's like, no, why did you even think of doing that? And that didn't put me off, because I thought at least you're being honest and you know where you stand. Yeah. And that makes a massive difference, because you can literally wait for like a year somewhere else to see if they like it or don't like it.
Should you come in with a few ideas? Because if you just go, no, yes.
Yeah, you should come in with a few ideas. You can come with top-line thoughts, you know. Like, and look, GP's behind closed doors. It wasn't called that, but it's basically, we film in doctor's surgery, you know, you go, I like it, I don't like it. There's something in it, there's something not in it. It could work, it couldn't work. You know pretty damn quickly whether something is sort of in the air and you go, you know, I like that. Yeah, why don't you have a think? Let's have a little conversation about it, or why don't you work it up with one of the commissioners, or why don't you do me a page on how it might look, or how a program might break down, or something, just so that we can, you know, look at it from all angles and just make sure it's robust enough to actually take up an hour of people's time or whatever. You know, so, you know, bring in 4 or 5 ideas, but they've got to be, you know, don't go to the bottom drawer from 15 years ago and just dig out stuff that everybody else has rejected. It doesn't mean to say that ideas don't come round. It doesn't mean to say that 10 years ago you were pitching, and actually now is the time to do that. But at least give us the respect that you've sort of look at it, you position it, you think about how you're going to sell it to me, why it would work, why we should commission it, where we could play it, what it could do for us. You know, you potentially solve a big problem for us, which is what were we going to play at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, and 11 o'clock, at 11 o'clock in the morning or whatever. You are, you know, the answer to our problems, which is how do we keep going, how do we make money, how are we successful? But I don't have much truck with people who are lazy or who don't really care or who just want a meeting for the sake of a meeting. You know, you've got to be hungry, you've got to be ambitious, you've got to want to work with us really badly.
Can I ask Jonathan, how many episodes were commissioned?
So, well, that's another thing. First of all, it was 4 episodes, then it was 8 episodes, and then the third series was 50, which is...
Hang on, 50?
Yeah, which is a lot. And I think... I think we've done that without it going massively down in quality.
Also, it was commissioned for 9 o'clock, and it did the first series at 9 o'clock, and there were people who goes, yeah, it did all right. And there were people who went, you know, I think we should get rid of it. I felt very passionate about that program. I don't know why. I think it is probably one of the greatest programs on British television at this moment. It's really underrated. You watch one episode, you see all life in front of you. It is incredible, the diversity, the stories, the emotion, the compassion. It's a brilliant, brilliant portrayal of the NHS on the front line. It is an incredibly underrated program. And I just thought, I'm not going to get rid of it. Whether it rates or doesn't work, I care about this program. So I said, we'll move it to 8. And then we decided, let's actually make it our soap opera. And we'll just bring it back every week on a Wednesday at 8 o'clock for a year. And we've just commissioned it for another 30 episodes.
Wow. And can I just ask, before we move on to someone else, I'm conscious of time, is about the Alcoholics programme. How did that come about? And is that's quite a tough subject?
Yeah, but that... what I'd say is that if there are two things you want, one is a quick decision, the second one is some creative autonomy and freedom and a sort of dialogue where you work with that. And Emma, who has been really...
Sorry, Emma, which Emma?
Emma Westcott, who's sitting up there, has been... Like, there are some commissioners, naming no names, who they will turn up at a viewing and you dread them coming to a viewing and you try to get a show past them rather than working in partnership with them. And, you know, Channel 5 don't have a creative breakfast where 56 commissioners watch it and you get 56 sets of notes. They don't. There's like one person where you're in a dialogue with, and that is really liberating. So the Alcoholic one, we pitched a rig show in a rehab centre, which we'd got access to, and Ben said, actually, I really like those interviews. Why don't you just do the interviews about alcohol, and alcohol being broader than drugs? And Emma said, why don't you make it counterintuitive in terms of your casting, because then it won't, your idea of what an alcoholic would be is not like, you know, it's not going to be like a tramp on the corner. It's like, here's a cellist, here's the editor of The Sun, here's a doctor. And I found those really moving. But that is a really good example of, A, where else would I be able to go and say, I would like to do a show that just has people talking down the lens with nothing else. And you wouldn't think that Channel 5 would commission something like that. That's a real creative, you know, leap, I think. And they did, and they really supported it. And it was... we got a chance to express ourselves without getting shat on from on high.
Why did you commission a programme about alcoholics, and does it rate?
Well, Jonathan did this very interesting tape, and I didn't like all the actuality, but I did love the looking down the lens. And real people, great stories, and I just love the simplicity of it. And I think alcoholism is a, you know, I probably drink too much, or I'm not drinking at the moment, which is why I'm bright and breezy this morning, but I think I probably do drink too much, and I think it's very easy to drink too much. And I liked the subject matter. I thought it was ambitious for us. I thought it was different for us. It could be reputational for us. I hadn't seen it done before, and I love the simplicity of the way he did it. And that's now spun out, and we're looking at eating disorders. We're looking at mental illness. Great people, great stories, no reconstruction, no actuality, just straight down the lens. And I think it's a very powerful way of stripping away all the stuff around it and just doing simple television. And that's where I think Channel 5 can be quite brave sometimes. You know, it's a reputational piece. We can innovate. We can change the rules of television. We can do something different and lead the way. I think he's done it very well.
Okay, let's move on to Kat. Kat, you run a company, 9 Lives Media. Can you tell us a little bit about it, and then we'll show the reel?
So I set up 9 Lives nearly 9 years ago, actually now, in Manchester. And I think the great thing about Channel 5, a lot of people said they're very quick to respond to you. And when you're running a small indie, that's vital, actually, because if you're not getting quick decisions, then you're paying your team to sit around, you know, and they might not be in production until you get that decision. So I think Channel 5 also, because they have a small team, but the team is very, very talented. We've heard about Emma. I do a lot of work for Guy Davis, and he used to run an indie, so he's got a really clear understanding of our pressures.
Yeah. Do you want to just say a little bit about what you do, what type of shows, and then we'll show the reel?
Yeah, so these are all shows that were commissioned by Guy. Ninda Billing, who's great as well, she looked after one of them, Flashiest Families. They're much lighter than what you've seen so far, but they're the kind of funny stuff that we do, because we're always remembering we've got to entertain the audience.
Absolutely.
It is a mainstream channel.
And as a company, what do you generate?
Oh, we also do Pound Shop Wars for BBC One. We did that for 13 episodes in the end. We make children's programmes. We make current affairs programmes as well.
Fine. Okay, should we show the reel, please? So, Kat, can you tell us about those shows and how did you get them commissioned?
Well, we had a similar meeting with Ben, as Jonathan described, where we went in with lots of ideas, and he whipped through them very quickly. And what I love about Ben is he's very decisive, but also really creative. And so he did really like Age Gap Love and commissioned that, and it did very well as a one-off. And so we then got a series out of it, which is fantastic. And the same, actually, with Holiday Love Rats as well. There is a problem with women kind of losing a lot of money, you know.
Can I ask about the tone of those shows? I mean, what is the tone of the programme maker, and what are you saying about those characters?
Well, I don't do the characters. Kat and her team would do the characters. Yeah. I think it's a good subject. I like poppy titles. I think that you've got to have a bit of light and shade in the schedule. I think there is a certain element of schadenfreude to some of these things. And I think, you know, with Channel 5, we've got to work hard to get the viewers to the channel. These were from about, you know, last year, the year before. So I think, you know, poppy title, bring people in, and then you want a program that is actually a well-made, intelligent program. I'm going to say it again, you can be populist and intelligent. So at the end of, I used to love watching Foreign Love Rats, and I used to feel, you know, desperately sorry for these women who were delusional, frankly, believing that, you know, this person who clearly just wanted a passport was in love with them. So there was, you know, there was depth and emotion there, they were well-made, they were well-cast, they were often quite sad stories. But it was punchy enough on its top line to bring people to the channel. We were talking just before everyone came in. I sit on the sofa with my partner, and my partner goes up and down the up and down, up. It's like, will you just pick a fucking channel? I don't care what channel we watch. Just stop on some channel. And why we work so hard on titles like Age Gap Live, you kind of go, ooh, Foreign Love Rats, ooh, what's that? You've got to get the viewer to go, I'm going to pause, I want to take a look. And then it's over to the production team to have made or cast it so well, or to have made such a point to go, oh my goodness me, I'm sucked into this, I've got to stay with it.
We do spend a lot of time casting, because we want people that are genuinely funny, that want to perform, that are resilient, you know, that want to get their story out there.
Yeah. And what do you think the difference is of working with Channel 5 to other channels?
Well, I think that the good thing about Channel 5 is they're not terribly interfering. Once they've made a decision, as we've heard from Jonathan, they let you get on with it, and they respect creativity. We've always delivered. You know, I've been making for Channel 5 for many years now, and I think that they're quite happy to work with independent, smaller indies, and that's something that Ben has really kind of made his own since he joined 3 years ago. And so now, I mean, do you want to...
Yeah, I mean, I think there's some... I mean, I was quite shocked by...
So was I.
The figures of how many small to medium-sized independent production companies Channel 5 works with. I mean, Kat's got a few slides. Do you want to just explain these slides?
So this is the latest PACT census, because I'm on the PACT Council, and so I was aware that these figures hadn't had much publicity and people didn't really know about them. And so I thought it would be helpful. And Ben has talked a lot about wanting to work with independents that are smaller and prepared to kind of take risks. And this really shows, because out of independents like mine, which have a turnover of under 5 million, ITV, we're just getting 1% of our business from ITV as a group. So those are all the members of PACT, which is the Producers Alliance for Cinema and Television. And then the next one is Channel 4. So 4% of indies with a turnover of under 5 million are getting their work from Channel 4. Ooh. And then comes the BBC. They give us 11% of their work. And then here's Channel 5. And that's, if you look at that bigger graph, I know the figures are all really small, but there's a massive change since Ben came in. You know, he really is kind of working and reaching out to smaller indies, and we all really benefit from that.
And why are you doing that? Why do you want to work with
I want to work with
a range of producers, not just the big boys?
We'll work with anybody, but I generally find that the smaller independents are hungrier, more ambitious, more passionate, will work harder. They want to prove themselves. They want to build their business. You know, a successful show and a repeat commission is incredibly valued to a smaller independent. And rightly or wrongly, I tend to think that, you know, if you get the super indies, you know, my commission is paying the electricity bill, or it's, you know, helps them hit a profit target so they can all get a huge bonus at the end of it. And I would rather work with people who may not always get it right, and who may be harder to work with, and that they might need a little bit more looking after, a little bit more support and everything. But I do believe that generally we get way more bang for our buck by working with smaller, hungrier, passionate, ambitious independent companies. I think you can have a great relationship with the people at the top. You don't get some, you know, junior person because the top people are all schmoozing Channel 4 and the BBC and whatever it is. So, you know, we get to work with the very heart of the company. And I think if you look at our strike rate, funnily enough, on the smaller independents, we are much better. We have a much higher strike rate of success shows than with the big companies, where I don't feel, rightly or wrongly, that I get the very guts of the talent there doing their very best to deliver a big show. Some of my biggest unsuccessful shows have come from the super indies. My most successful shows come from the smaller independents. That's why.
That's all right. Let's move.
That's all right.
That's good. Let's move on to Paul Blake from Maroon Productions. Paul, you've been making films for a long time. You're now currently making, or you've just made a film for Channel 5. Is that the first production you've done for?
Sort of a Channel 5 version in that respect. Watched a lot of Channel 5 at home, like kind of NCSI and CSI stuff, but never thought that Channel 5 was a place that we'd ever do business. And Simon Rakes used to be there. He's left now and set up working with an indie. And I've known Simon for a long time. And so I went and had a chat with Simon. And he said, look, you'll really love it here. I said, why? He said, because you make really quick decisions and you can kind of get on with what you do. Yeah. And so I chatted with him about this idea, this crazy idea that I've had for about 13 years, actually, about doing something really big with gangs. And I managed to get a very small film away with the BBC in 2012, which got nominated for a BAFTA, but it was about a 13-year-old kid who a gang was actively trying to recruit. And it was also about a 16-year-old girl who was selling crack that was part of a gang. She wanted to leave. And so I made this film, and it was great. It's a little half-hour film. And then about a week after making that film, I got a call from the 13-year-old boy's family saying he'd been stabbed. And it was about 9 o'clock at night. I went round to the house, and the gang had turned up on the doorstep and stabbed him. And the knife wound had missed his heart just by a fraction, because he turned. And, I went to the hospital and he's been stitched up. And I remember thinking, fuck, that little film hasn't done enough. I need to do something else. Yeah. So anyway, I spoke to Simon about it. And I said, look, it's everywhere. This gang culture is everywhere. If you live in Camberwell in a really smart house, it costs £4 million. It's around the corner. The depths and lengths these kids go to make money is incredible. You should do something. He said, fuck it, we'll do it. Then he called me up one day, sort of a couple of weeks later, and he actually had Ben was in the background. I'd never met Ben before. And he was saying, well, yeah, Ben's up for doing this. I was like, what do you mean? And he got on the phone, he's like, yeah, we're going to do it. And I was like, what the fuck? You'd never get that at Channel, you'd never get that at the BBC. So then...
And what's the film called?
The working title is Inside the Gang.
And it's on this afternoon?
It's on this at 1:15.
That's the premiere?
The premiere. And it's been 9 months in the making. We're still making it at the moment. It's a series. It's a two-parter.
Should we watch a clip?
Yeah, please.
Let's see a clip, please. That's a real range of work for other broadcasters. So Inside the Gang. So just tell the audience how it works. What's different about this film?
What's different is that I wanted to give authorship to a gang, and I wanted them, or a range of gangs actually, to tell us what it's really like to be in a gang, to tell us how, not just how prevalent it is, what their life is like, and just really find out from them what it is and why they do what they do. And what came through, actually, was that they all pretty much wanted to leave. They wanted to make lots of money. They wanted to live like Jay-Z. They didn't know how to do that. And so the gang was, it wasn't the route to money, but it was something that they had to do in order to kind of live in an economic sense.
And how did you, access to a gang is really difficult. So how did you get access to the gang, and then how do you film illegal activity, and how did you win their trust? How does that work?
I've been talking to gangs for probably about 13 years because I wanted to make this film, and so I knew a lot of people, and they respected the work. And how we got access to the first gang, we had a gang that never appeared on camera, was through a fixer that I known for a long time. And we had this gang, and they were ready to go, and it would have been a completely different show. Because they were just, they looked like, almost like the Jackson 5, but 4 of them. They were just these young kids, and you didn't realise the level of danger until they'd rock up to meet in Pizza Express, and they'd bring the zombie killer knives in a little kind of Oasis bag. And it was just kind of really, really strange. Anyway, we had access to that gang, and then 2 of them got sent to jail, sort of in the same week, and then one of them was shot. And I thought, well, fuck, I called up and found out about it, went to see the kid. He'd been shot, lost part of the kidney, bullet through his lungs, lost part of his bowel, and we thought he was going to die. And I called up Guy Davis, who's now taken the project over. I said, look, I think we might lose a kid. I think you should know that. It's about midnight, I told him. And he said to me, do you know what? on Monday, this is on a Saturday night, on Monday, we'll sort out your production insurance, and you need to crack on and get this done. And so I want to just talk a bit about the relationship with Channel 5, actually, because getting access to a gang has been fucking difficult.
How long has it been, and have they supported you through that? And is that financial, but also, you know, with the commissioning editor, with the legal departments? How does that work?
It's been incredible, actually. I had no idea the level of support would be as great as it was and is, because we're still making it. There's a kind of an immediacy, if you like. You know, I've called Guy at some crazy times of night, and he's always taken my call. I'm on about, you know, things happen at midnight. You know, a kid has been killed in another film. And
have your cameras been stolen? Because I've made a film with gangs for Channel 4 years ago, and my cameras were nicked once.
We only lost a couple of GoPros, actually. They weren't, when we went out a couple of times with people, and we had the big cameras, and when they came, we shot some sort of down the lens stuff with an F5, and they were like, oh, how much is that camera? And we were out a couple of times, and people were like, you know, if you stay out here much longer, we're going to rob you, kind of thing. But that was kind of a minor in terms of some of the things that we got to see. So in terms of the access, that gang went, because the kid ended up in protective custody. And then we had to find other gangs. And so I said to the team, well, look, we've got to get out there and do that. But in the end, I had to go out myself and meet people. Victor, who I work with, we were literally going and meeting people. And they were casting us. And there was a point when we were looking for a director. And I remember I had someone that came to see us, and he sat down. He said, this casting is amazing. It's great casting. I said, look, this is not Bake Off. I said, this is a show about gangs. I said, we're being cast. I said, we go and meet people, and they determine whether they want to work with us. And for the gangs that we have in the film, there are probably, I don't know, 60-odd people that we spoke to.
Do you leave the cameras with them, and then they film stuff? And
well,
then
I'm a huge fan of James Bond and Ian Fleming, so we worked out this scenario. It's called the Dead Drop, where I found a place where the CCTV cameras didn't work, and I know this because I had a relationship with the building, and it was a safe place where a camera could be dropped, and then someone would come and collect the camera, and through a fixer, you'd coordinate that, and then so the first thing that came back was a big lump of crack on us, you know, I don't know, about 12 or 15,000 pounds worth of crack that came back on the scales. We're like, okay, that's quite good. And then some firearms came back in another dead drop, revolver. You know,
you mean on the film?
On the film.
Not. I thought actually.
No.
And you were going, that's great.
They weren't
15
presents.
grand.
Is that actually to supplement the budget? Okay, we've been selling crack. You know, classic.
Channel 5 is.
Yeah, I've got a great little drug line now.
Oh.
But and so they got more confident with the process, and they started to own it more. And then the great footage started to come through. Yeah. And then we'd communicate with them. I'd actually write to them, and so I'd write messages and say, okay, and I'd write questions. Say, okay, tell me about, are you frightened of dying? Tell me about when you first, you know, and so the questions, and they would sit there and question, you'd see them, that's fucking idiot, that question's shit. Yeah. But they'd all do the on-camera release at the end, which was really interesting.
This is the first I've heard about this. I mean, as he said...
He's going to pull the show now.
No, I haven't even seen the show. I've seen some bits of the show. But this is the way we work, is that, you know, it was Simon, he passed it on to Guy. When Simon left, Guy's really sort of driven this through. I remember when it was first pitched to me, it was like, you know, we're going to film inside a gang. Okay, that's brave, it's different. Who'd have thought Channel 5 would do that? Yeah, we should try and do that. It'll never work. They'll never get the access. We're going to give them cameras. Oh, we'll just lose a load of cameras. But apart from that, I've been really hands-off, and Guy and yourself have worked very closely on this. I've been informed about, we've got a problem when the boy was killed. What do we need to do about it? How do we keep this show on the road? How do we give them the support that we can give them? How do we make sure that nobody gets into big trouble on this program? And I don't know whether we're going to get a program or not get a program, but that's part of the great, exciting creative process, is that you hear something and you go, that's really different. It's really brave. No one has done this before. No one has given cameras to a gang and said, we're going to just let you film yourselves. You give us the footage, we will put it together, you can then sign off on it, and we're going to put it out. It really is the unvarnished story, and I think that's a really brave, exciting commission for something like Channel 5, and this is where I go back to what I said at the beginning about look at what we do, look at the kind of programs that we make. We now commission 66% of the schedule. 3 years ago, it was 50% of the schedule. We don't have CSI anymore. NCIS plays on a Saturday. We now commission 5 days a week, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, going into 11 o'clock. So we really care about homegrown content. We really care about unique individual ideas. And in amongst the successful returning shows, it's a privilege to be able to go, we should do this show inside the gang. I don't know if we're going to get a program. There's another program that Guy's looking after, which we commissioned about 2 years ago. It may or may not happen. I think filming has started. Guy updates me. It may not happen for another 5 years. We may not get the program. It may just be a waste of money. But if we get it, God, it'll be a really different program, and it's never been done before. So the people who think that we're not brave, we're pedestrian, we're safe, we're reliant on American acquisitions, really need to address the channel, because we like brave independent companies with bold ideas that we can back, that add a texture and a diversity to our schedule, and I think make Channel 5 look really good.
Can I just say something very quickly? Is that there were periods in time when things just weren't happening, and it was really, really, we were really worried, and it was very, very difficult. And I'd speak to Guy pretty much once a week, and I'd call him to say, well, actually, we're still alive. No one's been killed. And he said, oh, have you got anything to show me? I haven't got anything to show you. And it went on for like months and months, and he never said, shit, this isn't working. He would say to me, and I'd be on the phone to him.
But how was that funded in terms of, was it on a project like this?
Fully
obviously, it takes.
I don't know.
It's.
It's a full commission.
Yeah.
It's a fully funded show.
But do you need more money the longer you go, or do you just make it?
We're not finished yet, so that we're running overspend probably, but not a massive one. I've been doing this for a long time. I set up my company in 1994. We're still here because I'm quite canny with money. Everybody gets paid the proper going rate, but I know how to make the money work. And I think that's working with Channel 5 was different. You got a box in a slightly different way. But what has been remarkable is the level of support. Other broadcasters, if I was on the phone to the commissioner once a week and saying, I really got nothing to show you, and they had this big kind of expo day at where was it? Where was it? Where did you do that expo day? It was in.
Oh, in the Tate Modern.
Tate Modern.
Yeah.
And then Guy called me up and said, have you got anything that I can show? Ben's kind of wanting to see something. I was like, I'm not really sure. And he said, can you just send something? So I sent him a little clip of the guys that we call No Fucking Joke. And he called me back 10 minutes later. He said, fuck, fucking brilliant. I said, you sure? He said, yeah, it's fucking great. Have you got any more of that? I said, yeah, we got some more of that. So why haven't you sent it before? I said, I just wasn't sure. And so I went along to the thing, and it kind of worked. And at that point, it wasn't even a change at that point. There's always been that, well, it's going to work. You're going to deliver. And as indies, if you're indies, and you've got those ideas that you're really passionate about, I'm really passionate about this, I'm passionate about anything that comes out of the door of my company, you walk to Channel 5 and have a chat with them, frankly.
I think the other point I just want to make here is that, there is a perception. Of course, we have a tariff, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. We have to balance the budget. At the end of the day, we have to hit the target. But if a project comes along that is beyond tariff and we want to do it, we'll find a way to do it. 10,000 BC was not a cheap program, believe me. Ben Fogle's New Lions in the Wild is not a cheap program, believe me. But if we want a program, we will find the money. And I learned at Channel 4, you never say no to an idea. The team around me have always been brilliant at moving money around in order to be able to help me afford the programs I want to make. And never in 3 years at Channel 5 has somebody said to me, you can't afford to make that show. I've always been allowed to make the programs that I've wanted to make for the schedule. We find a way to make it work if the idea is right. So don't be put off by the perception that Channel 5 is cheap. We're not cheap. We're just smart.
Let's move on to Paul Stead from Daisybeck Studios. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your company, where you're based, when you started, and what kind of shows you do, and then we'll show the clip after that.
So we've been going since 1998, and we are based in Leeds. And I think we're the longest established indie in Leeds, and we had a really successful run for about 12 years. And we were getting Emmy nominations for shows that we were making in the States. I was spending a lot of time, it was my company, I was spending a lot of time in the States, less time in the UK, and all of a sudden I realised that when they closed one of the networks we were supplying in the States, that the commissions back home were drying up. And so in 2013, it was looking quite bleak, actually. We were kind of on the verge of having to shut up shop, having been quite successful for quite some time. And it was one of our distributors that said, you should go and talk to Ben Frow at Channel 5 because, he's going to change things there. And the sort of stuff that you make, which was factual, our skill, I think, is in getting access to great people in interesting places and helping them tell their story. And he said, that sort of stuff that you do is the sort of stuff that he, I think, wants to do on the channel. So I said, well, I've heard he's a bit scary. I didn't know him. And he was.
As you've seen.
I'm not once you get to know me.
No, at that time, but it was exactly that. I had 8 ideas, and I think we'd gone through the first 7 in about 45 seconds. and then I hit him with something that I'd wanted to make for 12 years, and I'd kind of, it was actually one of those ideas that was in the filing cabinet, that I got out every few years when I thought the timing might be right, because I really believed in it. So I said, well, you don't like those, you probably won't like this, but here it is. It's called Body Donors.
Should we see a clip?
Yes. Okay.
Should we show the clip, please? So, Paul, can you just tell us about Body Donors? So this is a passion project for you.
It was. So I was working on a show, actually, for the old Channel 5. It was about people who had something called alien hand syndrome, which was for Chris Shaw when he was there. And we were filming in the medical school in Leeds, and we went into the dissection room, and there were all these cadavers laid out. And I discovered that there was a story there. And my original idea was just to follow the bodies when they came in, and that's kind of where we went wrong. And where we went right was with Ben's twist and Simon Rake's twist, which was to actually meet the donors in life and tell their story and then follow their journey in death. And so when I got to the title of Body Donors, Ben kind of jumped on the table and said, yes, what's that? And we discussed it, and it was kind of your take on where we would take it that then turned it from just an idea that had been rejected previously, an idea that David Glover at Channel 4 had said was too scary to do after he'd done Mummifying Alan. That's when I pitched it to them a few years before. And I think it was the collaboration and the instinct that Ben had, even because you'd only just started, I think, that actually this would work better rather than just being about the medical students and the staff and the dead person, but the dead person in life. And
that's how you get the emotion.
That's how you got the emotion.
When you follow that amazing, amazing woman and her family as she, deals with the last months of having cancer, it's absolutely heartbreaking. And then you see her embalmed, and then you follow her process as she is dissected and used for medical science. It is an incredible, in a way, to use the phrase, gift of life, that she gives her life and her body for the next generation. And I'd never seen that before. It's a deeply moving but very inspiring program. That's what really I loved about it. You get the science and you get the medical bit and you get the, all that, but you've got this great big beating heart at the center of it, which are these fabulous people who decide to give of themselves for our good.
And Yorkshire Vet, how did that come about? And
so, as I said, we were on our uppers, really. We were kind of coming to the end of the money. We'd got quite a lot of distribution money that had come in on the stuff that we'd done, but it was running out. And this was kind of, because I believed so passionately about this idea, and we started discussing it with the channel. But again, it was a leap of faith because we had no access. We didn't have any medical school. We had no donors.
Yeah, what happened is that I was sitting in my office and I thought the Yorkshire Vet. We're big in Yorkshire. Yorkshire like us. The Yorkshire Vet. I like the Yorkshire Vet. And I remember shouting out to the office, to Simon. Was it Simon?
Yeah.
It's like, Simon, we should do a show called The Yorkshire Vet. It's called The Yorkshire Vet. Off you go. I presume he's called you up.
So we were making Body Donors and he rang me. He says, you're in Yorkshire? I said, yeah. He says...
It's quite pragmatic, really,
I think it's because he knew that we were good with people, because by this time we'd cast the 2-part documentary for Body Donors. He said, can you go and find me the real All Creatures Great and Small? Go and find me the real James Herriot practice. And we did. But they didn't want to do it initially. They've been approached before many times. And I think what's changed, actually, is that the perception with people who watch the channel, i.e. viewers, has improved, and it's a lot easier, I think, now to get access to Channel 5. And I sent them some links to nurses, actually, and a couple of the medical shows that were on the channel that had been fairly recent commissions. And it was easier to get in, and I went and saw them, and then I said, look, this is what it's not going to be. This is what it's going to be. It's heart and soul about Yorkshire. It's about the practice, about the patients. It's about you, and it's not tabloid. It's not sensationalist. We don't want to see you getting drunk on a Saturday night. And they bought into it, and we had 6 episodes last year, and then we got recommissioned for 20 plus 2 specials this year. So we're not on our uppers anymore, but I'm not resting on my laurels either, because you know what it's like with this business. You've got to keep going. What's been interesting, I was telling Ben earlier, is that because we were kind of went off people's radar, mainly because I wasn't knocking on doors in London, was the fact that now we're doing this, and there's been a lot of publicity about, particularly about the Yorkshire Vet, that now commissioners and even controllers are ringing me and saying, oh, Paul, when are you next in town? Or even better still, we're coming up to Leeds, can we come and see you? Which hasn't happened for a long time. And I think that's a real credit to...
I love to think that we're helping people, keep their businesses going. It's really important. That it's about give and take. You give us great ideas, or you give us great content, or you make a show really well, and we will be very loyal and we'll be very supportive. I love the Yorkshire Vet story because I was crystal clear on what that show was. It was called the Yorkshire Vet. I could taste the tone of it. I knew the sensibility. I knew the feeling I would have. I think that music is just the most perfect piece of music that you chose there. And I had nothing to do with it. And then Greg, who looked after the series, when I went into production, came and said, oh, I've just got the first episode of the Yorkshire Vets. I said, what do you mean Yorkshire Vets? He said, oh, yeah, there's this practice with these vets. And I'm going, no. It's called the Yorkshire Vet. It's a vet. It's singular vet. He said, no, there's about 5 of them. I'm going, Send it back. Pick a vet. Make him the star of the show. It needs to have that. I mean, that's how I sort of work. It's just that it needed to have that centralization. It needed to have one person who was the heart and soul of it, and you could go out. But if it was just vets, it would be diluted. It would be softer. It wouldn't have that core that we needed. And I never watched a program. I said, all I want to see is the pre-title sequence. I just want to know that you've got the tone right. Oh, then there's the aerial...
Watch the show. I mean, do you have time to watch shows?
No, the only argument I ever had with Richard Desmond when he owned Channel 5, I was in a board meeting, and he said he hated one of the shows that had gone out the previous night. And he said, you saw it? And I said, actually, I didn't see it. He said, what do you mean you didn't see it? I said, well, I can't watch all the programs. He said, why not? I said, well, because there's like 18 hours of television a day. He goes, I could. I'm going, well, I can't watch 18 hours of television a day and do all the meetings. I don't watch all the programs. I can't watch every episode of GPs. I can't watch every episode of the Yorkshire Vet and do my job. I like to, and also trust the team. I mean, that's the team's job. What I might do is watch a pre-title sequence or an episode of GPs to come in and make sure that we're all unified in terms of what I was expecting, what I thought it might be. I've not seen Inside the Gang yet. I trust Guy Davis to see that through. I trust the production company. I mean, they're bright people. They know what they're doing. I'm a great believer in letting people do their jobs. I can't micromanage. I mean, if Emma signs off an episode of something or Lucy signs off an episode of something, and then I have to watch it, and then I might have some notes, that's hopeless for the production team. They make all the changes. Oh, then I see it, and then they have to make more changes. The only change I will make is I'll change the title at the last minute. And I get criticised for that, last-minute changes for the titles.
Why do you do that?
Because on a Tuesday at about 5 o'clock in the afternoon, we go to press, Radio Times or whatever it is, with all the programmes that we're going to play about 10 days forward. And it's the first time that we sort of see what BBC One are doing, BBC Two, ITV, ITV2, E4, whatever it is. And we have all the different channels laid out. We go, damn it, Channel 4 have put that up against us at 9 o'clock. Oh, my God, the BBC are launching MasterChef at this time or whatever. Suddenly, Cat Crazy doesn't seem like a very punchy title. What are we going to do? How can we make that programme feel noisier? Should we put it out? Should we replace it? We are still slightly the alternative channel, so we often have to defer to what the bigger channels are doing. Your content is really important to us. All I want is programmes that rate. So we have, Angry Cats or whatever, and I'm going, that's not a strong enough title. And I'll shout out and I'll go, okay, we're up against this, this, and this. Somebody think of a better title for Angry Cats. Psycho Pussies, When Cats Attack. Now, that's a title, And I'm going, look, it's a little bit to the left, and I might get a bit of criticism for it, but at least we are giving that programme the very best chance of punching through and grabbing the audience's attention. Inside the Gang, is it a good title? Is it a bad title? Do we like it? Is it grabby enough? Does it say what the programme is? Will people find it? Does it make people want to watch it? I don't know. I haven't had that discussion yet. As you said, it's a working title.
It's a working title.
GP's Behind Closed Doors. It was a brilliant title somebody else came up with because it wasn't called that. But it's the behind the closed doors bit that gives, ooh, what's behind closed doors? So the viewer will go, I better dip into this because I'm going to see something that I wouldn't normally see. So we work very, very, very hard on titles, and it's all about trying to make the viewer go, I want to watch a bit of that. Then it's up to the production company to make a program that is well made so that the viewer is rewarded. The most important thing in my job is to reward the viewer, and they go, I like that. I'll come back for more of that. Thank you very much. Now we've got a returning series. Now we've got a show that does million week in, week out. Now we can start to build. So we do work very hard on our titles.
Okay.
Can I say something just very quickly on what Ben was saying about the trusting Ill Commission and trusting the production company? That is a massive difference, I think, if you're trying to make a program than another broadcaster. And we're making a program for a broadcaster that will remain nameless, but they put 4 different, as a cross-genre sort of experiment, they put 4 different commissioners on it, a marketing person and an assistant. So I got 6 sets of notes for each show and 3 viewings per show. And that is the amount of commissioners that are in Channel 5 in total. And it was so bad, I sort of wanted to go to Beachy Head and not ring the helpline. And that just hasn't happened here. And from a creative point of view, to be able to go in and, you know, for Ben to watch one show and not have to sign everything off means that people can go and express themselves. And I think the shows that are better as a result and people bring better shows.
But that's not my job. My job is to set the direction of the channel. My job is to be thinking 9 months ahead. My job is to kind of read the mood of the nation and know when we stop doing, you know, benefit shows and when we move into aspirational shows, or when we should do more travel, or when we should kill that, or whether we should reintroduce that, or whether we should move acquisitions to weekend. You know, that's my job. The job of the commissioners is to work with people like yourselves, find the ideas, work up the ideas, then bring them to me, and I go, I'll have that one, that one, that one, that one, that one. That's a Wednesday, that's a Thursday, that's an 8 o'clock, that's a 9 o'clock, I want it like that, go make it. I'm not a director, I'm not a producer, I don't know how to cast, I don't know how to edit, I don't know how to make a television program. That's not my job. It is the commissioner's job to find the ideas and work up the ideas. It is your job to work with them on developing the ideas, to inspire them with ideas, to bring us the ideas. And then I just let people get on with it.
And before I open it up, I just want to ask, I mean, one of the criticisms of Channel 5 recently was the kind of reliance on benefits programs. So what would you say about that?
I'm very grateful for our very successful shows that have shone a light on the benefit culture in this country. They did really, really well for us for about 2.5 years. We were first with benefits, on Benefits and Proud, way before Benefit Street. I give the viewers what they want. We are viewer-led. The viewers like benefit shows, I'm going to give them benefit shows. Like when I was at Channel 4, we did like 101 property shows. Nobody criticised me for, you know, overinflating the property market or, you know, making middle-class Britain, you know, blah, blah, whatever. So our benefit shows did really, really well for us, and I will stand by them. They were very well made. They covered all aspects of benefits. It wasn't just scuzzy people. It was people who are genuinely having a tough time, who rely on the benefit system to try and keep their lives together. There's some incredible people in there, some very brave, inspirational people in there who want to turn their lives around. And then about 9-10 months ago, I did wake up and I feel a gut shift here. I do think something's changed. I do feel now we need to slightly provide some more aspirational program. And that's where Eamon and Ruth, How the Other Half Live came from. I was talking with Guy about how do we do wealth? How do we look at the rich and famous? How do we do it? And Richard and Judy were doing a show for me, and they pulled out. And I was offered Eamon and Ruth, and I went, but if you put Eamon and Ruth onto rich people, now I start to see a show. And that's how the Other Half Live came about, sort of joining of two things. And if you look at what's coming through next year on Channel 5, it is incredibly different. Even this autumn, the schedule and the range of program is utterly different to the beginning of this year. So my job that is what I paid for, is to follow that shift and understand when we should kill something, when we need to evolve something, when we need to try new things. You know, funny titles. We had great success with funny titles. I'm kind of off funny titles now. I kind of feel we rinsed it. Suddenly everybody else is trying to do funny titles. It's like, you know what? You follow. You do funny titles now. We're moving on here. We keep moving forward. And I say this, and I really mean it. If you look at any channel over the last 3 years, no channel has changed as much as Channel 5. We are incredibly different. We did over 1,000 hours of new commissions last year. We're commissioning 66% of our schedule now versus 50% when I came 3 years ago. There's only did we identify 6 programs in the schedule from when I came 3 years ago. The range, the diversity, the brave with programs like inside the gang or the body donors. We've experimented with one-off pieces. There were no one-off pieces when I came to Channel 5, no one-off individual pieces. So we tried a lot of one-off pieces that then went to series with people like Kat, things like GPs behind closed doors, which is, many people say, oh, that's not very Channel 5, is it? No, it's not, but it is now. And then we can supersize shows like that. I'm an Alcoholic. Henry VIII, we've done more history than we have for many, many years. We're doing comedy and entertainment throughout the summer. And then, as I say, you'll see next year, we really move into aspirational lifestyle. It's a different channel. And that is because of people like yourselves, smart commissioners, great ideas, hard work, vision, ambition, and a real sense of purpose as to what this channel is. So, there's not very many of us, but I think we've done pretty damn well myself.
Okay, I think that's a good point to open it up for questions. And please ask before ask anything you want. Have we got microphones? Have we got people? Yep. Do you want to stick your hands up? I can't really see with the lights. There's one up there and one.
There's a man there.
Yeah, there as well. And as soon as one person's spoken, try and find someone else. And okay, so. Start up here. Do you want to say who you are and then...
Hi, Ben. I'm Katie Fryer. I've recently started as an exec at Princess. And I'd like to know more about the Channel 5 tone, how to get that right, especially when pitching to you, be it in person or writing up treatments.
I wouldn't worry too much about the tone. I think because the tone can come out from a conversation, we can work on tone. The positioning is something that you have in a dialogue with the commissioners. What we want is the nugget. What we want is the core subject. What we want is somebody bringing in, what about looking at GPs? And you go, how would we do that on Channel 5? And I do think it's very rare that an idea comes in and it is completely fully formed and it is commissioned off the page. I think the only program ever that I've commissioned, ever in my entire life from an email was Autopsy, The Last Hours Of, which is such a great idea. And although I'm sure a lot of work was done with the production with Guy and ITV who made that show. But that was the only idea. So what we're looking for are all those subjects and all those takes on things. It is a subject matter. It is a title. It is a precinct. It is an area. It might be something that's been done 10 years ago. We're quite populist. There are no new ideas. Everybody knows that. It's how you take the old idea and reposition it. Can't Pay will take it away. Probably our most successful show. That came about because a Repo Man had been dropped by Channel 4. He got in touch with us. I said, I don't want anything that's come from Channel 4. Is there something in this area about bailiffs, though? We know that bailiffs worked on BBC One daytime so that we knew that there was an audience for it. What about if you do a show called Can't Pay, Won't Pay? That was its working title. Then Simon went and ran with that show and did what he needed to do, and now it's this incredible bulletproof show. So don't worry about tone, because that is what comes from the conversation with the channel. That's what comes about the conversation in budget round, where I go, I like that area, but I think we need to skew it this way, or let's put a presenter on it, or why don't we give that to Alex Polizzi, or I think that's the kind of thing that Ben Fogle would do really well, or let's not set it there, let's set it there. We're very happy to do part of the work in order to get the show that is bang on for us, and I don't expect you to understand Channel 5 like we understand Channel 5. What I need you to do is to bring me the subject areas, the titles, the talent, the genre that we're missing. I don't know if that's helpful, but I think there's only so much you can expect from people who don't actually sit and live and breathe the channel every day.
Can we get the other mic going down there? And there was one question up there. Yep.
Hi, Robin Parker at Broadcast. Can I ask a quick question relating to funding, both in terms of the Viacom relationship and any kind of sort of cross-commissioning you can do there, but also someone said to me yesterday, I'm not sure about if I pitch to Channel 5, do I have to have Group M? There seems to be
no, you don't.
And there seems to be a perception.
Misconception.
Yeah, a perception. Yeah. I want to see how much that has changed and how much that kind of model fits into what you do.
Group M is part of my budget. So if nobody is forced to work with Group M.
So do you want to just explain who Group M is to everyone?
I'm not really sure. Well, there's some sort of advertising people, aren't there? Sort of.
Yeah.
They're a pot of, as far as I'm concerned, they're a pot of money that I can access for projects that they are interested in backing. I presume everybody's going to make a profit at the end of it, I don't know. And you can tell I'm really just an ideas person here. So it's an extra pot of money, or it's part of my budget that I can access. And I tend to use it for the more expensive programs, but not necessarily.
But you don't have to. So if you've got a different distributor...
nobody will ever be forced to work with Group M.
So
and you know, 3 years ago, it was like the big, giant elephant in the room, and you know, you weren't allowed to talk about it, and everyone was scared of everything. I think everybody works with Group M now. ITV work with Group M, Channel 4 work with Group M, and Love Island is made by, through Group M. So it's out there. It's not going to go away. The way of funding programming is changing. Everybody wants, it's all about IP. It's all about intellectual property, and everybody wants a slice of a great idea. Of course they do. So Group M is there for us to access. It's very useful to me. They're very hands-off. The thing I love about them is that they're completely uneditorial. They will agree to back a program or not back a program. We can choose to work with it or not, but ultimately it comes down to the independent. And there are numerous examples where we've said it would be great if you would talk to Group M about this project because it would be helpful to me in my budget. And they go, you know what, I don't really want to work with Group M. And you go, fine, okay. Then I just make the decision, do I want this program or not? And I go, I'll have the program. So
but if they bring the money from somewhere else, if a different distributor...
There are people much cleverer than me at understanding how to fund programs. I really do care about my relationship with the independent. We have program finance, we have contracts, we have legal, we have production managers, then we have some hardball people in there who will try and bring the price down or will try and get extra, whatever it is. That's their job. My job is to make sure I keep a good relationship with the independent. So I'm very much across everything, and I will say to somebody, I don't care about that extra 15% there, or I think it's important that we give them the extra money there, or you know what, I know that will cost me an extra 15,000, but I think it's worth it, or I know they didn't overspend on that, but they worked so hard, and I think that we should reward them. Or a recent example is somebody who delivers a fantastic show for us at an amazing price, and I just said, you know what, we should pay more for this show. Why are we paying more for this show? You know what? Because they deliver on this show week in, week out. It's a really good show, and I think it's time we said, we respect you, we reward you, we want to thank you for all your hard work, we want to keep you engaged with us, let's just pay extra per episode for that show. So, money is always a bit of a hot potato. But if you, at the end of the day, it comes down to a relationship with yourself, the commissioners, and myself. And the people around us are appreciative of that. And while I will ask somebody, it would be really helpful if you could do a deal with Group M here, because that enables me to spend more on this program, or it enables me to do it now rather than wait 6 months because my budget's a bit tight or whatever. That's all I can do, and if they say no, fine, so be it. It's not a problem. No one has ever forced Group M or no program at all.
Can I make a point about Group M? Because we've got, so Yorkshire Vet and Body Donors are both Group M co-productions. We've got another commission.
How does it work? What do they do? Do they put in some money, but then they take some of the...
It's an individual deal that you have to negotiate. We're not allowed to divulge the individual deals, but it's not far away from what you're suggesting. Effectively, I find it a really positive experience because, I'm all about getting the deal done. We were about to go out of business, and Channel 5 helped us stay in business at the time to get the thing going, and it was way above tariff. It was a very expensive show to make, was Body Donors. And, we could get straight in production if we did it with Group M. And I met with Tony from Group M. And actually, I find it really, really, really helpful. I mean, you've done some Group M stuff as well. It's obviously they're in it to make money. We're all in it to survive and to make some money. But if it means the deal gets done more quickly, I've employed 48 people through getting a commission that was through Channel 5 and working with Group M. Those people wouldn't have had work. We'd have gone out of business. And I'm grown up enough to know that the nature of the business and the funding for the business is changing. And I find it really useful. Having said that, if we had the straight choice of do you do a straight production or a co-production, obviously, for financial reasons, you go that particular route. But on Body Donors and Vets, it's been a very collaborative relationship. And actually, I think we're going to make more money in the end because they're so big. It helped us do a great distribution deal. So we'll all benefit from that. So it's not the negative, I think, that some people think it could be. And actually, it's been very positive for us.
OK, we've just got a few minutes left. So can we have one more? Who's got the mic? Yeah, well, you first, and then you.
Yeah, very shortly. Ulrich from Copenhagen. You've always been, Mr. Frow, you trust the commissioners, you trust the production companies and all that stuff. Would you ever consider working in Denmark?
I love Denmark. Copenhagen is one of my favourite cities.
Check a channel there and work from there would be very nice.
I'm a great Scandinois person. Borgen is one of my favourite programmes ever. Well, we've recently worked with a French company. It's challenging.
And also, the last thing, You said also today that you think, oh, the British like to watch that kind of benefit show. We'll give them benefit show. But do you know how much Channel 5 actually influences what people then want? I mean, how much do you think your channel actually can create trends rather than just, oh, there's something in there, people would like this? How powerful are you in making a wish come true with the people that didn't know they had?
Not as powerful as I'd like to be, because I would always have more power. I don't know that we set trends. I mean, I think we try to read our audience and do the best we can with our audience. Having said that, I think it's a bit like fashion. I think there are zeitgeists out there, and I do think that all the channel controllers sense something in the nation, in people and directions, which is why there's often quite a lot of homogenous programming. We've all got a benefits program, or we're all suddenly into gardening or adventure. We've all got something set on an island, or we're all doing something set in, living history is the genre of the moment. So there's always going to be zeitgeisty things where we're all sort of copying each other in inverted commas. But generally, I don't think we really lead the way in terms of changing the nation or setting the agenda. That's not my role. My role is to just give people what they're looking for at that moment.
Okay, next. Yep.
Hello, my name's Patsy Francis from Syncopate Media. I was quite interested in what you were saying about perceptions of Channel 5 and the glass ceiling and so on. And it made me think in terms of the black and minority ethnic, so join the club. But the thing is, I want to be part of the Channel 5 club. I'm not yet, or we're not yet, of the able to have outputs at the level that your panel has. I'm interested in co-productions. What would be the best approach? So would it be that come to you with an idea and then you would suggest teaming up, or team up with a production company and then come with the idea?
Either. I mean, individuals are hard to commission from. If you can find a company that wants to embrace you and that you can work with, or just an experienced person in the field who can help, guide you through the process, we're always up for that kind of thing. I mean, when I work with these people, I didn't know any of them. And I didn't know whether they were big companies or small companies. Everybody starts from nothing. Out of acorns, great oak trees grow. I think an individual on their own with no experience is a tough one for us. But I've got a team of people, all 6 of them, who would be able to go, I know that person, or you know what would be good? Somebody like that would be really good on that show because they've got experience in that genre and they can provide the support system that they need and help guide them through and make sure that it's not even whether we get a good program or a bad program, it's the fact that you can have the experience of making a program that is a program that does you proud and does all right for us. There are plenty of examples of programs that we've commissioned which haven't done as well as we've thought, which have been disappointing ratings-wise. We've still gone back and gone for more work. It's not, your success or failure is not about rating success. Your success or failure and whether we want to work with you again is about your attitude. It's about your hunger, your ambition, how much you give of yourselves to do the very best you can for a channel like Channel 5. And then even if it doesn't work, we go, you know what? I like working with that person. They make it a pleasurable experience. They care about us. We should care about them. Therefore, we should give them more work. So buddying up is always good with a production company, ideally.
Okay, I think we're going to have to wind it up there, but just 2 things. One, there is a breakfast brunch, is it? Brunch provided by Channel 5 where you can meet the commissioners, and also, Paul, your film's on at what time?
1:15.
Where?
Oh, God, 1:15. I don't even know where.
Where is it, Guy?
Showroom team. I think it's sold out, but you can queue up for returns.
Queue up, make me feel good.
Yeah. So please go to the brunch. I just want to thank all the panel and Ben for coming and sharing their time today.
Thank you very much. Thank you.